Hello and welcome to the Maximum Apocalypse Wasted Wilds pre-production digital sample prototype unboxing. Very happy to finally have something in my hands after a long lockdown and waiting process to get this. Usually these come pretty fast so we can iterate on them and get things into production, but we're going to go full steam ahead. I've already opened and looked at this. It didn't come shrink wrapped or anything because it's not a production copy. But we'll just go through and show you some of the stuff you'll be getting in your game. Keep in mind, there's still changes that I know are going to be made to this version of the game. So in Wasted Wilds, you're going to get 3 books. You've got a Learn to Play guide, which walks you through how to get the game to the table, playing it as soon as possible. The supplemental mission logs redoes all the missions from the previous games into the new format. So it's got all the old missions rewritten and redone to work with the new system, some of the changes to the new system. And then finally, the thickest book is the Wasted Wilds, Frozen Wilds campaign and Scorched Wastes campaign. Sort of the hot and cold expansions or versions. So those are your books. You'll have the board to put together, the time board to put together. You have a bunch of punch tokens and standees. A lot of this stuff sort of similar for if you're fans of Maximum Apocalypse, you've seen some of this stuff before. We have dials for all the characters for health. So left and right, you'd have to assemble those. We have all your divider cards. Monster tokens, this stuff sort of... Monster tokens, fuel tokens, you guys know what those look like if you played the game before. Ammo tokens. Here's some assembly things, standee bases. Dice. Here are the exposure cards. So these are the cold ones. These are the hot ones, and this is the pandemic ones. This is the monster spawn deck. This is a little deck we added as part of the Kickstarter to give people a feel. It sort of emulates what the Gothic Horrors bag did for monster spawning. It takes out some of the randomness by adding cards for each monster spawn. You can see all those here. But then because it's a deck of cards, we have a lot of other things like making the game more difficult and making the game easier. And you'll use some of these cards in the campaign legacy format that there's a link to it in the rulebook, but we're sort of developing it live. There'll be adjustments as you guys get the games and as we play things more and more. It's hard to balance something that has, I think we redid like 20 missions and then the new game has like 20 missions. So it's hard to balance everything perfectly with that. And I'm sure there's going to be some broken things in the campaign, but it's a cooperative game, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And we can sort of adjust things with these cards. Again, the idea was to sort of keep the components set, but the legacy format will have stuff that we can change the player sheets and some of the minor rule changes as we go. Then you have all your cards. And here's all the tiles. So tiles, a lot more than normal. I think this has more tiles than the original game. But there are a ton of them. Looks like they gave me... Oh, look, you can tell these are samples because they just did a bunch of the camp. This is what it'll really look like. It'll look like the van and the camp. But they just filled it up so I could see the size of it, how it would sort of look like put together in a box. This is good to know. I'm glad I checked this because I was going to use this as a demo box for Origins coming up. And if I had come in with open these tiles and had a bunch of the same tiles, I wouldn't have really been able to play a real game. So I'll have to print out some sleeves. I'll have to sleeve those tiles for Origins. And then I'll open a couple of card decks here. Oh, I should mention that it didn't come in the box, but here are some of the new tokens. Some of the new wooden components you'll get. They actually shipped these to me earlier. We have objective tokens. They're now just marked A, B, and C for the new rules. These are the barricade tokens, which are used by the contractor to sort of cover up the spawn numbers here. You can barricade a location and cover up the spawn number. And then if something spawns there, it just breaks the barricade. And you can spawn up to 4 places. And then these are the tribe tokens, which will go on the tribe cards, which are actually in. Are they in there? Where are the dividers? Here are the dividers. See if we can see if they reprinted everything here. All right. Sorry about that. My dog getting upset about something. So these are the tribe tokens, which can track where a tribe, their current feelings towards you, and they're double-sided with some variant rules on the other side. Okay, what else do we have? Let's get into some cards we can go through really quick. These are the others. There's a monster deck. These are all the original survivors from the original 2 games who can be your adversaries and enemies. They're their own unique deck. So you can find a lot of unique monsters in that. They're this is where a lot of the bosses in the game come from, because this game focuses more on humans being the monsters. We have this is the plant deck. This is one of the decks we unlocked as part of a stretch goal. And then you have some of these cards, which are double-sided, because the whole thing about these cards is they evolve. So these bark beings will stay off to the side, but some of these cards evolve into them. And then if they evolve again, you'll flip them over and they get even nastier. We've got the underground enemies. Here's the wilderness set. This is sort of the starter set. Just generic wildlife, wolves and bears to fight against. See some more monsters first, I guess. We'll do the scavenge deck. I mean, that's if you guys have played the game before, you've seen the art for this, but this is the redesigned scavenge deck. Here are the Planet of the Apes Apocalypse. We've got the Diesel Punk Apocalypse. Here's some biker gang bosses, and the Death Cars, and the Truck U. Ice Age, got some Yetis, saber-toothed tigers, mammoths. Then we have the Marauders, the Marauder tribe. And then we call these the Nordic or the Norse tribe. You'll see him on the front. You saw him on the front of the box. So that's all the monsters. And then we have our character decks and the day-night deck. And I think that's pretty much it. So that was a quick unboxing of the main game. We did get some of our other expansion boxes in the mail as well with them. They're not as exciting. They mostly just have cards in them. And one of the weird things about this Chinese lockdown is they've sent things to us in pieces. So the miniatures I was sent at another time, piecemeal, in this like bin covered in tissue paper. But I can set those out for you in case you didn't see them. But they all look really nice. It's funny that these were sort of the things that were done first. You would think miniatures would be the most complicated thing, but these are actually some of the first samples we got. There's the beekeeper, the chef, the redhead, and the driver. And then the other thing that wasn't in the box you saw that I opened are all the trays where you store your game. You know, all the storage trays that you would store your game in. And what's interesting is that they actually sent me trays from the Legendary Edition, not the new trays, you know, because this tray would not have so many spots for miniatures. It would just have spots for the new miniatures. And then it has wells for the exposure cards to sort of sit in here like this. But they sent me old trays, my guess is because they couldn't really get this done at the time. But the idea is that these sit in that top part of the box. And then your cards sit in a column underneath. But that's the unboxing. I'm gonna make my table look a little prettier and take some pictures of things. So I can get you some more component pictures, but I wanted to do a video for everyone out there that's backed the game and has been so patient with me to sort of see where we're at. Obviously, this is a big leap forward as far as getting things done goes. We just need to approve things and have a couple tweaks, and then we can get things to press, and then we'll get a production copy, which is more in line with what you guys will be receiving. This is they do a sort of digital print, and then you approve things, find little issues, and then they set the press up, and then you get a production copy. You basically get the first production copy off the line to make sure you catch any final issues in the actual offset printing process. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and excited to get people to start playing this game sooner rather than later. Thanks again.